The Moon Over the Mountain Pass by Tai Po. The bright moon rises behind the heaven-high mountain. A sea of clouds blows along the pale, wide sky. The far-off wind has come from nearly 10,000 li. It has blown across the Jade Gate Pass. Down the Poteng Road went the people of Han to waylay the men of Hu beside the bright green bay. From the beginning, of those who go into battle, not one man is seen returning. The exiled official gazes at the frontier town. He thinks of his return home and his face is very bitter. Surely tonight in the distant cupola, he sighs and draws heavy breaths. How then can rest be his?
明月出天山，苍茫云海间。长风几万里，吹渡玉门关。汉下白登道，胡窥青海湾。由来征战地，不见有人还。戍客望边邑，思归多苦颜。高楼当此夜，叹息未应闲。
This poem is a 5-character ancient-style poem by the great Tang Dynasty poet Li Bai, based on an old theme from Yuefu, the Bureau of Music. It expresses the mutual longing between soldiers stationed far from home at the border and their wives back home, reflecting the deep sorrow and suffering that war brings to the people. The poem is structured in 3 parts. The first 4 lines depict the vast landscape of the frontier, highlighting the mountain passes, the moon, and the distant borderlands, which convey the homesickness of the soldiers. The middle 4 lines describe the brutal and tragic scenes of war, showing the harshness of the battlefield. The final 4 lines shift to the soldiers' longing for home as they look toward the frontier, imagining their wives sighing endlessly from high towers on moonlit nights. The final 4 lines shift to the soldiers' longing for home as they look toward the frontier, imagining their wives sighing endlessly from high towers on moonlit nights. The poem unfolds like a panoramic scroll, consisting of 3 parts: the moon over the mountains, the sorrow of the battlefield, and the soldiers' yearning to return home. It is imbued with a sense of sorrow, maintaining a consistent tone and unified mood, with a majestic atmosphere and a natural style. This poem vividly portrays the scenery of the borderlands and the experiences of the soldiers stationed there, while delving deeper into the sorrow of mutual longing between the soldiers and their wives. The initial depictions of the landscape are meant to set the mood and prepare for the emotional climax of the poem, which focuses on the feelings evoked by gazing at the moon. Li Bai casts his gaze on the endless cycle of ethnic conflicts that have plagued the borderlands for ages, revealing the immense sacrifices and the suffering endured by countless soldiers and their families due to war. However, the poem does not explicitly condemn or glorify war. Instead, the poet seems to be meditating on the heavy toll that each generation has paid for these conflicts. In this internal struggle, the poet, the soldiers, and even the readers may feel a yearning, an unspoken longing for peace. This sentiment echoes the idea expressed in ancient Chinese thought. War is a tool of destruction, and only used as a last resort by the wise, from the battle at the south of the city. In many other poets' hands, the sorrow of separated lovers is often portrayed with fragility and overwhelming sadness, resulting in a narrower emotional scope. Yet, Li Bai evokes these feelings with grand imagery. The bright moon rises behind the heaven-high mountain. A sea of clouds blows along the pale, wide sky. The far-off wind has come from nearly 10,000 li. It has blown across the Jade Gate Pass. This expansive depiction of the borderlands brings forth the emotions of homesickness and separation, but is imbued with a sense of vastness and reflection. Only someone with Li Bai's immense breadth of vision could write such lines. Rather than confining himself to a single moment or event, he captures a broader, deeper contemplation that encompasses both space and time. Through this reflection, he blends the present sorrow of separation with a more profound and far-reaching sense of longing, creating a depth of meaning that other poets often find hard to reach.